I would like to apologize for breaking that. For the breaking the transmission. Sorry about that. So, as I was saying, welcome to this episode of book review that have started last month. Um, and the book, you can see it on the left side of your screen. That is the pandemic flutter of virus 19. But this particular one is going to be a very special one in the sense that I'm dedicating this particular episode, this particular series to end SARS protest that is taking place in Nigeria and across the world. The problem is it's very unfortunate that we found ourselves in this situation, but it is the right time for us to take the uh, do the necessary things such as the protest that is taking place. But a very unfortunate part of it is the use of arms against innocent and unharmed protesters, civilian protesters, protesting for the right thing to end the brutality of the police force in Nigeria. But unfortunately, it took another dimension last week, Tuesday, whereby a lot of Nigerians were massacred, especially the toll gate, the Lekki toll gate, where we had some videos and so many information across whereby Nigerians were killed. And these are unharmed. There was nothing there was no cause for all this killing that took place. Unfortunately, that is the brutality on the part of the government using the forces against the civilians. These are the forces that were supposed to be protecting the citizens, and it turns on the other way around, whereby the civilians are now being attacked by this police. And the NSAS has been a very long, so many years, but it took a very different dimension this time around, and enough is enough. The youth, Nigerians, went out and said to the government of the day, enough is enough, and the police brutality. Before I continue with my 1 minute silence, which is in support what of the the people that died, most especially the massacre that took place last week Tuesday, as well as the previous victims. That because the Lekki toll gate was not the first situation whereby Nigerian died in the hands of this police. But the Lekki toll gate was a very special one because there were a lot of people that died, and the police, the military, opened fire against the people that were protesting. So this show is dedicated to victims of all police brutality, and as well the previous one, the latest one that happens, which is for the toll gates, Lekki toll gates, massacre. And we're gonna have a 1 minute silence for that. Okay, thank you, media. So rest in perfect peace. And I pray um the dream that they had for laying down their lives for a better Nigeria shall come true as soon as possible. And I pray the family that were left behind to be consoled. I mean, by Almighty, and I sincerely send my condolence to the families and to the Nigerian at large, including myself too. It's very very unfortunate. These are the young people, young individuals that were supposed to make. I mean, that are very promising. That will have make better change. We are losing them without even having arms. They were unharmed, and they had to go through all these pains, this brutality, which is very uncalled for, very uncivil. And that is why I'm also appealing to international organizations, international communities to kindly come in at this period so as to end this particular mess. The country is in democracy, and the power belongs to the people. And in democracy, everybody have the right to protest, civil protest, without any harm. So why not firing them? Or because they were protesting for their rights, and that's in democracy. If Nigeria is not ready to practice democracy, then we should know that Nigeria is not democracy. But in a situation where it is claimed that we have a constitutions and we have a civilian government, people went out to go and vote, then the voice of the people must be listened to. The voice of the people must be heard. They have the right to protest. They have the right to talk. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. These are the things that were engaged, that were embedded inside democracy. So if Nigeria, if the president of, I mean, the government of the day knows that this is not democracy, then declare it to the world. Nigeria is not in democracy. Then we know. But if you are actually practicing democracy, then it must as being enshrined by the constitution. Actually, I'm not coming on the show to talk about this because it's very disheartening and it's quite unfortunate. There are a lot of information. People are showing. I mean, expression is going around on the social media and even face to face with the government of the day. But even with what the president had to talk about few days ago, we are not seeing. We are not getting it. It's quite. We can't really understand what is really happening now, and misinformation, fake news all around. This is what do I call it, Photoshop or no Photoshop. Um, come on, come on. Now let me go into detail. So that is why I'm dedicating this particular episode lost their lives. Now, as I said, this program I've started some. I mean, like I think last month, and then for people, for those of you that you know you are unable to watch, I mean the show, you can actually have it. You can watch it on the YouTube channels. Just type Adams to have access to it. Then I will advise you kindly subscribe, share, likes, and comments. But I will also advise you to kindly on your notification. I mean, click on the bell so that immediately I have new videos being released or being dropped in my YouTube, you can have access to it. This particular YouTube channel is just dedicated, or let me say, the motive for that is just that not everybody will have to come off live that when I'm doing a show, so that they can have a glimpse of what happened. And there have been a lot of requests for some people that they are unable to see the videos that I did. Even with the Facebook, it has a short time that you can still have watch the video, but with the YouTube channel, the moment is very active, you can still access the past or the previous videos. Now, um last time I talked about I think I dealt majorly, or let me say extensively, on the effect of the lockdown on the, on the economy of, all the countries around the world, and the problem of the, of the virus. Unfortunately, we there are news flying around now that a lot of countries are likely to go into lockdown again because the virus is coming up again and is more propagating, just like what happened, in the first phase. Now we are entering into the second phase again. We don't know how terrible the situation is going to be, but I'm not going deeply into that right now. But I think we are supposed to learn from what happened between December 2019 and April 2020, and that is why this particular book has been able to review a lot of things. In fact, some of the mistakes that happened within that time, some countries are repeating the same mistake again, meaning that we are not really ready to learn, if I may use that word. So I dealt majorly, extensively on the impact of the economy, impact of the lockdown on the economy of each of the country. But today, then I promise that we're going to talk about, if possible, politics, then the controversy around the hydroxychloroquine, and then the role of the WHO. I'm not really sure I'll be able to deal with these 3 points in this particular video, but I will surely assure you that we are still going to talk about all of them. But at this hour, I'm starting with the one on the politics. Now, the politics is very broad. I won't be able to do justice to it because it's very wide and very broad. But I'll just take some salient and key points, very important, aspects that we are going to, to talk about. Now, just as I said, if you the book is quite is quite accessible, available. You can lay your hands on it, and in fact, just via online. Amazon, all these global leading stores. If you are the type that likes the e-format, you have the e-format with you. If you like the paperback, you have the paperback with you. Is very everything is good inside. Now, actually, I'm going to start with one thing that is quite interesting as well, and that is I'm taking it from page 13, and I will read some of the extract from some important figures that also followed, the trend of the problem. Now, there are two, important personalities here that I want to talk about. Eduardo G. Gomez and Sandro Gallia. They wrote an article in April 22, 2020, and the article was titled "Politics May Kill Us, Not the Virus." That was the title of the article. Politics may kill us, not the virus. So let me just give you it's actually in this book. I'm reading it from here. You Who is Eduardo G. Gomez? Is a doctor, is an associate professor in College of Health at Lehigh University. Is a political scientist with a focus on research of domestic and international health policy reform. Some of his prominent work include the contested epidemics, geopolitics in health. He's currently under contract with Johns Hopkins University Press. So he's someone that is talking with what you call with authority. Now, that is Dr. Eduardo. Then I have the second person that I will still want to go talk about. That is Professor Sandro Gallia. He is a physician specialized as epidemiologist. Currently the dean at Boston University School of Public Health. He was previously academic leader at Columbia University, the University of Michigan, and New York Academic of Medicine. Professor Gallia is the youngest public health dean in USA at Boston University School of Public Health in 2015. So as at 2015, he was the youngest to occupy that high post in the history of United States. Now, the duo experts explain the tragedy of politicizing the health system of any country. They highlight the dangerous and harmful practice of politicians trying to get a scorecard at the detriment of the citizen. Now that is what exactly what they analyzed. So um the Scotch know, I'm talking about the virus now. It knows no boundary, no color, no race, no, no geopolitical boundaries. It sweeps across nations without demanding for permission of entry and became a valiant virus destroying lives of citizens. That is COVID-19. Now, during the critical moments, the role of government cannot be underestimated in providing essential resources to fight the deadly virus. Point. The frontliners, researchers, policymakers needed to be united to find a viable solutions to tame the virus. Now, we were promised some months back that before the end of the summer, I'm talking about the European country now, before the end of the summer, we're going to have the vaccine. Now the summer has ended. The autumn is they are now in autumn, moving to the winter now. No virus yet. I mean, no vaccine yet. The same thing happened in United States. There were a lot of promises that the vaccine will come around. Even at a point in time, Russia declared to have a virus, but yeah, nothing is going on again on that. No information, nothing. So, do you now want to believe what these two gentlemen have said, that politics may kill us, not the virus? Now, let me continue. Eduardo and Sandro raised pertinent questions that the government needed to put the resources on the table to deal with it. What has the new public health threat revealed about a government healthcare system and its ability to respond in a timely and effective manner? Timely, underline that word, timely and effective manner. Do government have the infrastructure, resources, and technology needed to curtail the spread of the disease? Those were the two questions that were asked. Meanwhile, we should always have it at the back of our mind too. The virus caught virtually everybody unaware. No doubt about that. The first country that had the outbreak of the virus was supposed to be an alert, a form of alertness for other countries to tighten up their health infrastructural facilities and preparedness. Now, I'm taking some excerpts from the article of these two gentlemen. Now, I want to read. Quotes. In a period of public health crisis, scholars and policymakers are often quick to ask the following questions. I'm thinking these are the questions now. One, what has the new public health threat revealed about a government's healthcare system and its ability to respond in a timely and effective manner? One. Two, do government have the infrastructure, resources, and technology needed to curtail the spread of the disease? Those are the two pertinent questions. Now, I'm still quoting their words. While focusing on health system is important, this can often lead us to overlook what viruses reveal about the role, nature, and consequences of a country's political environment. In a time of the coronavirus in the United States, politics is exacerbating exacerbating a public health issue, making the virus much more deadly than what it should be. Politics, in other words, can literally kill us. End of the quote. Politics, in other words, can literally kill us. End of the quote. Now, this shows that there is a very big problem around the world. And we can see it. It's written on the wall. We can see it clearly. Why is it so difficult for all the gladiators, for all big countries? I'm talking about world-class countries, harnessing their resources together and find, what do you call it, the solutions, especially the vaccine to this problem. What will it take? I can assure you of that. This thing cannot take within a month. I'm sure within a month, if all the countries should come together to say they are ready to face this challenge once and for all, of course we're going to get the resources. The results. Because by the time all these big countries gather all their resources together, the results will come out as quick as possible. But on the other hand, which of course I'm not denying the fact that every country wants to have a space in the global community. We want to be recognized for one thing or the other. We want to be like, okay, this is the country that got the vaccine first, and that's why they are a powerful country. It's a good political strategy. Global marketing, of course. But on the other hand, can we leave that aside and focus on human survival? Imagine how many people have died so far as a result of this COVID. 1 million plus. Over 1 million people had died as a result of this COVID around the world. This 1 million people can be saved if all the big countries gather their resources together. And that is why these two gentlemen are saying that politics may literally kill us, and not even the virus. Now, a lot of countries are going on the second phase now. Even though, personally for me, I'm not seeing anything like second phase. I'm not seeing anything like a second vague, because the virus never stopped. The virus never... I would have described it in a way that, assuming we